Okay, welcome everyone to LlewellynCon. So I am honored to be opening LlewellynCon, and as we're settling into the sacred space, can you guys see my head? Seems like it's cut off a little bit. Let's just notice our breathing. So notice as you breathe in, notice as you breathe out. And feel your weight on the earth or the chair, the cushion, just anchoring you into this present moment. And as you notice your breathing, just do that. So just this one breath. And it's not like your breathing doesn't have to be any certain way. Just let it be natural and notice it as a way of coming into the present moment, into the sacred space. And listen to silence. So even though you're listening to my words, between the words, around the sounds and underneath the sounds in your area, in your room, there's silence. So listen to the silence. And connect with space. So there's stuff, there's your body, there's the stuff in the room, there's the walls. But even more, way more than the stuff, there's space. So become aware of space and silence. And then realize that your consciousness, you are that space and silence. That empty openness. And that's resonating within your physical body. So coming into the present moment, noticing your breathing, listening to space and silence, this is that grounding and centering. When we talk about grounding and centering before magic, for ritual, that's what we're talking about. We're coming into that magical space, and we're remembering our power by remembering our oneness with everything. That open space of consciousness where thoughts arise, visions arise, experiences arise, but you are that space. You're not the thoughts, you're not the experiences, you're that space. And let's sense everyone in this sacred space with us too. So even though it's virtual, it's also real. And we know as magical, spiritual people that time and space are illusion. So if you're watching this later, then you can be here with us now. If you're anywhere in the world, we can all be together. So let's just get this sense of this sacred circle, and not just in this class, but in LlewellynCon in general. Let's anchor in this sacred energy, set some intentions for learning, for growing, for being at peace, for stepping into our power. And you can also set some intentions like, why are you here? Why are you participating in LlewellynCon? Why are you taking this class? What do you want to learn? How do you want to grow? What intentions do you want to manifest? It's the new moon, so it's a great time to set intentions. It's also a solar eclipse. So setting some clear intentions, feeling the joy of them as if they're already manifested. Setting that into motion, that momentum into the fields of energy. Okay, so happy new moon, blessed eclipse, and happy birthday, Irene. I saw in the chat before we began that Irene is here to celebrate her birthday. So happy birthday. I can hear energetically echoes of that throughout the group. All right, so I am Tess Whitehurst, and I am the author of many books about magical and spiritual living, but I am talking today about self-love, and I do have a book coming out in September with Llewellyn called The Self-Love Superpower, The Magical Art of Approving of Yourself No Matter What. And so I'm really excited to talk to you about self-love today. I want to start by talking about how I used to think, I think I would have recognized the fallacy in this if I consciously thought this, but I had this sort of unconscious, unexamined belief that self-love meant thinking that I was awesome at everything. Thinking that, you know, I was good at everything, I was funny, I was attractive, everyone had a high opinion of me, like that would be self-love. So I think you probably can already recognize that that is, if you did think that about yourself, you would be wrong because, you know, no one is that. No one is perfect. Everyone, you know, feels shame sometimes. We feel, you know, talk with food in our teeth. We make mistakes of all sizes and learn as we go. And like, no one ever knows everything, is right about everything. I mean, that whole idea of having a high opinion of all your abilities, it's impossible to truly, authentically be in that space because it's just not, this is not how human beings are. And then I came to learn that self-love is, it transcends your opinions about your abilities or, you know, yourself. And you know this because it's love. So if you love a person or an animal, which I'm sure you do, then you know that the reason you love them is not any of their traits. Like, you may love some of their traits, you probably do. You probably love many of their traits. But that's not the love that you feel for them. So think about it now. Like, for example, I think about my cat Solo. This is just one example that I feel like his so-called imperfections, which of course, you know, are subjective. So it's like what may be perfect to one person is imperfect to another person. It's just, of course. But imperfections. So like, I was thinking about how a couple years ago, he had to have dental surgery, like really gnarly dental surgery, like so many teeth. You know how sometimes cats have to have so many teeth pulled out because they're rotten? Well, he had so many teeth pulled out that now his mouth, if you look at him like at a certain angle, his mouth just kind of like, and it's like every time I notice that, if for a while too, he made a mess when he ate, he just like would drool. It seems like it's changed a little bit since the surgery, but still it kind of hangs a little bit. And every time I notice it, I'm like, I like feel so, it's like my heart opens to him. Now it's not that I love him more because of this, just like I don't love him more because he's so cute. He is so cute, so beautiful. But none of those are why I love him. But I will say that like imperfections like that, I feel like they can sometimes be easier to let that be a window into love. It's not the reason for love, but it's a way that your heart can open more in some ways than like so-called perfection or wonderful traits, like someone being really good at a sport. It's not like, oh, I love that person. It opens my heart to them because they're so good at volleyball. Like, that is not as likely as me remembering like how much I love Solo when I see his mouth hanging open like that. Like, And this is just one example of how you personally can allow your vulnerabilities, your imperfections, the moments you feel shame or fear or discomfort, or like you don't belong, you know, like these can actually be ways that you find compassion for yourself. And that compassion can help open your heart to loving yourself. So shifting the paradigm from self-love being self-esteem, shifting the goal from being self-esteem to self-love. And in some ways, you're still going to have self-esteem. And that's great. You know, feeling like, man, I'm really getting good at my job. And that brings me joy. Or like, man, I have been donating to charity regularly and I really feel great about it. And I'm proud of myself. I mean, those are great. Self-esteem is great. Self-love is open to everything that you do or don't do, ways you succeed or don't succeed. It's like a more underlying fundamental space. So there's a practice from Dr. Kristen Neff, and she wrote a book called Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself. And we can do this right now. It's such a useful tool if you haven't practiced this or learned this before. If you have, you can be reminded of it over and over, and it's like such a great reminder. If you don't know about this yet, this is something you can do every day, over and over again, whenever you feel like you're suffering in any way, it's little or big. Like it could just be that you notice, like you tap in, and these are things that you do often when you love yourself. You know, it's kind of natural that you're like, oh, how am I feeling? How's my body feeling? And then if you notice like, oh, my shoulders are tense, my stomach is tight, I'm not breathing, you know, I must be feeling a little tense. And then you're like, oh, and then it can be a way of feeling compassion for yourself instead of judgment or instead of unconsciousness. So here's the practice. It's first, let's place our hands on our heart. You could place one hand on your heart. I like to place one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly because I feel like my belly could use a lot of love often. Just like place where I can hold some tension or judge it. But you could do one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. You could do two hands on your heart. So hand on your heart and or belly. And as you're doing that, send love through your hands to your body. So in the same way, you know, especially magical practitioners who sense energy, you know, you can feel the exchange of love when you pet your cat, when you hug someone, you can feel it, the exchange of love that you're sending and receiving. So this is an act of sending and receiving love to yourself. It's not just putting your hands there, it's sending love to yourself through your hands. So according to Kristen Neff, this actually does increase the oxytocin in your brain, which is that warm fuzzy chemical that we feel when we feel love, when we're cuddling, when we're petting a cat or a dog. I just have a cat, so I'm using that example. But so sending yourself love, getting that oxytocin flowing. And you can, so this is something that has to do with, like I said, suffering. So if you're feeling shame or you're feeling tense or worried or anything like that, which we all do. In every life, we all have this. So you could bring something to mind right now. You know, like if you're worried about something or you're missing somebody, or like it's something that you think about sometimes and it brings you pain, which we all have. So you could kind of bring that up so that you can give yourself love and compassion for that. So feeling that, tuning into that, and then you think to yourself or say, this is a moment of suffering. So you're just acknowledging it. Like, here it is. This is a moment of suffering. And then suffering is a part of life, or suffering is a part of the human condition. So you're reminding yourself, everyone has this. It's not just me. Because this is a thing, this is an illusion that we can get, is, well, everyone else is doing great. Look at their pictures on Instagram. Look at their vacation. Look at their relationship. You know, we think, no one else is suffering. It's just me. That is an illusion. So we're reminding ourselves suffering is a part of life. All living beings. Suffering is a part of life. And then, may I be kind to myself. Just may I be kind to myself. And may I give myself the compassion I need. So you could maybe feel the way this is an opening. That instead of being in either out of awareness of what you're experiencing or fighting it or judging it, here it is. It's like giving a kid a hug when a kid is crying, when they have tripped, when they have had their feelings hurt. You give them a hug. And you remember being a kid and getting a hug and how it was like, oh, someone's acknowledging the suffering and they're sending me love. It's like, we can do this to ourselves and you can do it. You don't have to wait till it's a big suffering. It could be just a little suffering. It could be like, oh, I'm hungry and lunch isn't for an hour. You know, it does not need to be something super dramatic. Just any time. Even if you don't know what it is, like I feel unsettled, I feel worried, I don't know why. You know, this is a moment of suffering, sending the love. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself. Okay. So let's see. Oh, here, what else do I want to talk about? So I just have a couple minutes before I want to open to questions. But I do want to say I spoke with my online students about this on Tuesday, but I think, and I know probably some of you are here, but it won't hurt to be reminded of this again, that this is a time where, I mean, it's eclipse season, it's Mercury retrograde, but it's also just a time where a lot is still going on. This last year and a half, we've all been through trauma. We may still be going through that trauma, or we may be just getting to a point where we can start to process it. It's just a lot of stuff. Even though positive things are happening in many of our lives, it's just like it's unprecedented again. And we may judge that because it's like, oh man, well, it's not as bad as it was last year or something, you know. Or what is even my problem? Things are going well for me. But just to mention, like, you might be feeling great, but you might be feeling weird. You might be feeling overwhelmed. Either way, it's going to change because our feelings are always changing, going through waves, oscillating. So whatever's there for you, whatever feelings happen to be there, allow them to be there. And this I also mentioned in my class on Tuesday, but I want to say this again, is this this metaphor that I've heard Eckhart Tolle use, which is that if you are connected to stillness and silence regularly, so like we did at the beginning of class, or like you do in meditation, or when you ground and center before a ritual, listening to silence and stillness at least once a day as part of your daily meditation. You know, when you get into this space, you can also get into it by going out in nature, or even just taking moments where you look at the sky, you know, just kind of like feel your weight on the earth, like come into that silence and stillness. When you connect with that regularly, your mood, like your present mood, whether you're happy or you're sad or you're stressed, would be, so the metaphor he used was like, that would be like a candle. And if the shades are closed, it really makes a difference if the candle is lit or if it's out. If it's the lit, you know, if you're happy would be the lit candle metaphor. And if it's out, you're sad or worried or whatever, your happiness is not there. So if the shades are closed, it really matters if the candle is lit or not. Makes a big difference. If the shades are open, which is your knowing, you're connected with all that is, your regular connection with self-compassion, stillness, silence, serenity. It doesn't make a huge difference if the candle is lit or not. It might be nice if it is, but if it isn't, the light is streaming in through the windows. And that's that goal. With our spirituality, that's a goal. That's one of the goals, or one of the benefits is learning to be in this human condition in a way where we aren't dependent on things going well or us being happy all the time, because we're connected with stillness and silence. It's also the place where we are in our empowerment, so that if we want to shift into a different mood or a different energy, a different vibration, a different pattern, we know we have that ability, but we don't feel like we're at the mercy of what could happen or how I might feel about it when it does happen. You know, we feel connected to that silent, still, universal, open consciousness, eternal consciousness. So then we can notice, like, oh, I feel this way, or this is happening. And it doesn't have to be like everything to us. So, okay, we're going to open it up now to questions. There we go. And, you know, there's a little delay, I'm told, on the questions and comments. So in the meantime, maybe, well, oh, thanks, Sheila. I'm glad you like it. Ellie says, can we see your cat solo? You know, you can definitely see him on social media. It will take a moment that we don't have for me to go grab him, and he's not going to be super happy about it. But he's a real cute black cat. And then we have a question from Moonchica. Is it safe to do spells on an eclipse day? There has been some discussion about that on social media. To me, my answer is absolutely yes, totally 100%. And you're asking me, so there's your answer. But I know there's different people who feel different ways about it. Good morning, Julia. Amanda, thank you. Bill, hi, Bill. Patricia, thank you. And Janet's here. Hi, Janet. Thanks, Teresa, for being here. Oh, and Bernadette says, what classes do you teach? You know, thank you for asking. I have an online school called the Good Vibe Tribe Online School of Magical Arts, and I'm actually reopening enrollment on June 23rd. So you can get on the waiting list at tesswhitehurst.com and then click on Good Vibe Tribe. And you can try it for free for a month. And Jack's here. Hi, Jack. Jack says, thank you for the workshop. It was great. I'm wondering, what are the situations in which you or your students find it hardest to extend yourself the sort of compassion you describe? When is it most difficult for you to practice self-love? Well, that's a good question. You know, I feel like it just comes in waves. For me, it's like there are times in the past, I'm going to put it in the past in case it never happens again. Just verbally put it in the past. But in the past, I have gone through some times, it seems like it happens in winter for me, or in the past it has happened in winter, where I have felt somehow disconnected from my heart. I have started to feel lonely. So sometimes when I feel lonely, or when I feel like sometimes on holidays in the past or on my birthday, I can feel like kind of like not getting out of bed or not moving too much. I usually do get out of bed, but you know, like every now and then I'll get a little bit sad or lonely or feel stuck. So sometimes those are the times when it feels a little like there's a little more inertia there. Like, oh, okay, I know I should practice self-love. I know. So those are the times when my thing with those will be like, what can I do? And then maybe could I, for me, it's actually clutter clearing also often helps with that, is like, what can I clean? What task can I do? Can I roll up loose change? Can I clean out the fridge? And then that'll kind of help get my energy moving. For me, I'm really connected to my physical space. Okay, where are we here? Thanks for all these nice words. Thanks, Najah. And so Fire Talia says, and oh, thanks, Jennifer, for the compliment. Fire Talia says, do you have any specific practices that you do daily for self-love? Yeah, daily meditation, mindful meditation. So some form of mindful meditation, and then clearing, shielding, anchoring my energy and light and connecting with the cosmos. Those are ways that I connect every day. And I highly recommend all of those practices. They don't have to take a long time. It could be like 10 minutes, or you breathe consciously, you call on the divine to clear your energy, shield your energy, anchor you in light, connect you with the cosmos. Could involve some chakra clearing for like an energy tune-up too. All right, where are we here? The Witch in the Wheel says, how can you help someone close to you practice and understand self-love? I am thinking of one of my children who it seems has a hard time with self-compassion. Well, you know, I think that first of all, certainly having that practice yourself will be a great energetic sort of way of teaching. Example, but like, even if it's not obvious, I think energetically it will help shift things when someone lives in your household. It's really amazing how many silent shifts happen when you shift in some way. And then, you know, you could teach your child the self-compassion affirmation and practice too. Even just conscious breathing, you know, like, oh, now I'm breathing in, now I'm breathing out. When you breathe consciously, just bring your attention and awareness to your breathing. It sounds so boring and so obvious that you probably all want to skip over that I'm even saying this, but it is just so transformational. Like, just noticing, even if it's shallow, even after just a few breaths, it starts to naturally deepen, and you come into your body. You like unite mind, body, and spirit simply by conscious breathing. Okay, and Kara says we just have a couple more minutes. Oh, let me see if I have any messages here. Okay, Kara says, I'm still learning to have self-love from past trauma. It's been a long path with my shadow work. Any suggestions to help? Also, what was the title of your new book again? Thank you. Okay, so the new book is called Self-Love, the Self-Love Superpower, the Magical Art of Approving of Yourself No Matter What. It's available for pre-order already. And so for your question, still learning to have self-love from past trauma. So, you know, the past trauma can actually be a window into self-love. Like I said about my cat with his dental surgery, but also with me, you know, I had some abuse in my past as a adolescent, sexual abuse. And I do feel like that it can be a way into having a window into having compassion with yourself, which can open up love. Not like I need to heal everything. That's kind of something, I don't know if you had that, but I have in the past had that sort of new agey, judgy thing of like, I've got to heal it all before I can be okay. And now I'm more like, you know, I don't know if I'll ever totally be healed from that. Like, though there might always be pain there, but that doesn't mean I can't still love myself and be present and live fully and enjoy what's here and like forgive myself. And So feeling all your feelings, feeling all your anger, all your feelings, and then also letting that be a window into giving yourself a hug like a little child, like we talked about. So I know I need to wrap it up here. Okay, and that, I don't know when this comment was, so that says one more question, but I imagine it was probably a minute ago. So let's just wrap it up. So thank you guys so much for all your kind words. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of LlewellynCon. And thank you, Llewellyn, for having me. And let's just take a deep breath. Okay, thank you guys so much. Sending lots of love to everyone.